You little punk. You don't talk to him that way.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna call your father.
Heads up! Give me my ball back.
You know, Stan, I feel sorry for you. Stan's a bully. Why? See, according to leading psychiatrists, Stan's a bully for one of three reasons. Underneath all of that male bravado, there's an insecure little girl just banging on the closet door trying to get out. And the third reason, Stan has a small wiener. Don't hurt yourself, big boy.
The movie opens in 1989. Mike O'Donnell, a handsome high school basketball star, is practicing his shots alone in the gym. Coach Murphy walks in and tells him to take it easy. A scout is coming to tonight's game, and Mike is a shoo-in for a scholarship. The coach calls all the players over for a team photo, but Mike asks them to wait for Ned, the water boy. The others scoff, but Mike insists. Ned's part of the team. Ned Gold walks in, dressed in a wizard robe, having just finished playing Dungeon Master with some other geeks. The other players laugh at him, but Mike, his best friend, defends him and tries to show support. They line up for the photo, and just as the camera clicks, one of the jocks gives Ned a wedgie, making him jump. Before the game, the Hayden Warriors cheerleaders perform their routine. Mike joins in, dancing and posing for the cheering crowd. As he gets ready to play, he spots his girlfriend Scarlet waving from the rafters. He runs over to hug her and talks about how much this game means to him, how the scholarship could define his whole future. He even shows her a special shooting pose he's prepared just for her. But Scarlet seems hesitant. Mike asks what's wrong, and though she tries to brush it off and suggests they talk after the game, he presses her. She finally tells him what's on her mind. The news clearly hits him hard. He looks completely dazed. The game starts, but Mike's head isn't in it. He stands still on the court, dribbling the ball absent-mindedly, lost in thought. His teammates, coach, the scout, and the crowd all watch in confusion as he does nothing. Then he sees Scarlet leaving. In a split-second decision, Mike tosses the ball over his shoulder, shocking everyone, and runs after her. The coach watches as the scout symbolically closes his notebook. Mike catches up to Scarlet and tells her he wants to be there for her. She says he has a future ahead of him, but he replies that the baby is his future. She tries to walk away, but he kisses her, ending the conversation. Cut to 20 years later. Mike wakes up in his buddy Ned's house. Ned is now a billionaire, and his place is packed with geeky collectibles. He even cosplays as an elf, complete with rubber ears. As they eat breakfast, they talk about how Scarlet kicked Mike out, they're going through a divorce, and how his kids want nothing to do with him. Ned tries to cheer him up by pointing out the positives.
You're looking at Scarlet kicking you out of the house and the kids wanting nothing to do with you as a negative, when in fact...
But can't seem to find any.
I guess it's mostly negative, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Still, Mike's up for a big promotion at his pharmaceutical company, where he's worked for 16 years, and he's excited about that. At Wyatt Pharmaceuticals, Mike sits in a meeting where his boss, Dean, introduces a new drug that gives a 4-hour erection. Everyone else at the conference table is an attractive woman. Dean brings up the topic of the promotion, and everyone perks up.
Mike! Yeah, Mike, if you could just slide to your left so I can congratulate our new RSM Wendy!
To Mike's shock, Dean announces the promotion has been given to one of the women. As they celebrate, Mike sits there stunned. After the meeting, Mike confronts Dean. He reminds him that he's been with the company for 16 years, while the woman just joined a few months ago, and that he has the best numbers on the team.
You should think of it as a compliment. Think of it as us saying, you're just too valuable to promote.
But Dean brushes him off to take a phone call. Furious, Mike rips out Dean's Bluetooth earpiece and smashes it against the wall. As the celebrating women get into the elevator, Mike stands there, holding a box with his things, clearly defeated. It's implied that he's been fired. Mike drives to his old high school, Hayden. He walks into the empty gym and stands on the basketball court, lost in thought. He then looks at the trophy case in the hallway and finds his team photo from 1989. The school janitor comes by and recognizes him. He says Mike was a high school star who never lived up to his potential. People come back, he says, to relive their glory days. Mike admits the past was better for him. The janitor asks if he wants a do-over. Mike, full of nostalgia, says yes. The janitor smiles.
You're sure about that?
The bell rings, and Mike's daughter, Maggie, appears in the hallway with her friends. Mike turns around. The janitor is already gone. He says he came to take Maggie and her brother out for ice cream.
Why?
And basically forces them to come with him, come along. He drags the kids to an ice cream shop clearly meant for little kids. Mike, Maggie, and Alex sit quietly at a table. Neither Maggie nor Alex is happy to be there, especially not with their dad.
What's the matter, Maggie? This used to be your favorite place. We used to come here for your birthday.
Yeah, when I was like 8.
Maggie pointedly puts in her earphones, while Alex keeps his eyes glued to his PSP. Mike tries to talk to Alex about how basketball is going, assuming he's on the school team. Alex plays along just to get him to back off, and then shifts the conversation to Maggie.
Maggie got into Georgetown.
Mike tries to congratulate her, but she acts like she's lost in the music, though her earphones aren't even plugged in. He drops them off at home. They both head inside without saying a word. In the yard, Mike sees Scarlet throwing his stuff into the wood chipper. She tells him she's redesigning the yard as a showcase for her new landscape design business. He asks her not to touch the yard. He's put a lot of effort into it. She reminds him that all he did was start building a half-finished barbecue pit, which he worked on for half an hour.
And then you spent the next 2 days complaining about if you had gone to college, then you could have hired someone else to do it.
Same with the hammock, which has been lying around half-assembled for years.
I think you quit that one because you just decided not to try anymore.
She says she's tired of hearing him complain for 19 years that he ruined his life because of her. Mike admits he's disappointed with his life.
I never asked you to marry me.
Yeah, but I did.
Offended by his words, Scarlet snaps that at least now they're no longer holding each other back.
Scar.
I'll see you at court, okay?
Just then, Scarlet's friend Naomi arrives. Mike and Naomi clearly don't get along.
Mike.
Naomi.
Naomi.
I don't care.
She encourages Scarlet to start dating again, telling her it's time to get back on the market. Scarlet says goodbye to Mike and goes back inside. Depressed, Mike walks out, just as it starts to rain. He drives through the storm, and his car radio begins to glitch, flipping through stations rapidly. At one point, he hears the janitor's voice on the radio.
You sure about it?
As he drives over a bridge, he spots a man standing on the edge, looking ready to jump. Mike slams on the brakes and shouts out. The man turns. It's the janitor from Hardin High. At that moment, a truck blocks the view. When it passes, the janitor is already gone. Mike runs to the edge and looks down. To his shock, he sees a whirlpool in the water, his younger self reaching up toward him. Suddenly, Mike slips and falls in. Later, Mike shows up at Ned's house, soaking wet and covered in mud. He stands under the shower, rinsing himself off. Then he looks into the mirror and screams. He's back in the body of his 17-year-old self. Ned wakes up in his Star Wars-themed bed, startled by the scream. In the bathroom, Mike stares at his reflection in disbelief. Ned sneaks into the room wearing a Spartan helmet and holding a battle axe. Seeing the young stranger, he assumes it's an intruder and swings. Thanks to the endless supply of geeky weapons in Ned's house, they end up having a full-on scuffle. Mike tries to explain who he is, but Ned is too freaked out to listen. Mike's younger, faster, and more agile, so he holds his own.
Oh, wow. I feel great.
They end up sword fighting with lightsabers. Mike brings up specific memories only the real Mike would know.
You have an undescended testicle. Googleable!
But Ned, being a wealthy and well-known guy, suspects it's just someone who stalked him online and memorized the details. Eventually, Mike overpowers him, but Ned fakes surrender, then kicks Mike in the groin the moment he lowers his guard. Just as Ned's about to knock him out with a picture frame, he catches a glimpse of the graduation photo from 1989, him and Mike together.
Oh my God.
A little later, Ned pieces things together using all his comic book knowledge and pop culture references.
Are you now, or have you ever been, a Norse god, vampire, or time-traveling cyborg?
I've known you since, what, first grade? I think maybe I would have told you.
Vampire wouldn't tell. Cyborg wouldn't know. Were you at any point shot by a gamma ray?
No.
Exposed to gamma radiation of any shape?
No,
any kind?
Ned.
No. Wouldn't see it.
Shut up.
Through a process of nerdy deduction, he concludes that Mike must have gone through a spirit guide transformation magic. He explains that some sort of spirit guide has probably sent Mike back to set his life on the right path.
Which is what?
What do I look like, your spirit guide?
Mike realizes the janitor must be his spirit guide.
The janitor.
Still wearing older Mike's dirty, oversized suit, Mike races back to Hardin High. He frantically asks the students if they've seen the janitor. He finds a female janitor who tells him she's the only one working there.
There's an older guy with white hair. I showed him this picture of me.
You?
Yeah.
That picture's from 1989.
Right, forget it.
As she walks away, Mike notices Alex. He calls out to his son, but Alex runs off like a scared puppy. Suddenly, the hallway lights begin to flicker. Mike notices he's standing in a puddle. Following the trail of water, he finds a mop and bucket left outside a room. He peeks in and sees it's the basketball court. Mike returns to Ned and excitedly announces that he knows what he needs to do. He's going back to high school. Ned is skeptical, but Mike believes that his spirit guide gave him a second chance. Ned says it's ridiculous. No spirit guide would waste magic just so Mike could relive his senior year. Ned was bullied in school, so there's no way he's going to help Mike or go back to Hardin.
Hardin was the low point of my existence, and I vowed I would never go back to that godforsaken place. Never, ever, ever!
Cut to the next scene. Ned, dressed up and standing in front of the school secretary, pretending to be Mike's dad. As they wait for a meeting, Ned criticizes Mike's outfit, calling it weird. Mike proudly says it's a cool look. He's channeling Kevin Federline's style.
Are you sure these look legit?
Yeah, look who you're talking to. I'm the guy who invented the software that prevents people from stealing music. I also invented the software that helps people steal music, but that's a happy coincidence.
They enter the office of Principal Jane Masterson. Ned is stunned the moment he sees her and hears her beautiful voice. He immediately starts imagining her as a character from The Lord of the Rings. Ned tries to flirt with her, but, being a nerd, he does it in the most awkward way possible. Mike introduces himself as Mark, Ned's son.
Before we get started, I think you should know that Mark's a bastard.
Excuse me?
I had him out of wedlock, so I'm single, and I'm very rich.
Jane is impressed by his transcripts and accepts him into the school. As they wrap up, Ned keeps the cringe going. He even asks permission to smell her hair. Mike is dying of secondhand embarrassment.
I think now would probably be a good time to tell you that I don't date my students' parents.
And quickly drags Ned out of the office. Walking through the halls, students stare at Mike's Kevin Federline-inspired outfit. But after being so smitten with the principal, Ned is now fully on board. He decides to help Mike with everything, so he takes Mike shopping.
And the least I can do is make sure that my fake son doesn't look like a total douche.
I don't look like a douche.
What a douche. Welcome to the bottom of the food chain.
The next day, Mike arrives at school in a Ferrari, dressed in stylish clothes. His daughter's friends are clearly impressed. On his way to the building, he catches the eyes of other students. Then the bell rings, and the hallways fill with students who bump into him as they pass by. Before the class, Mike gets a call from Scarlet. He's late for their divorce hearing. She puts him on speakerphone so everyone in the courtroom can hear him. He tries to lie, claiming he's out of the country in Peru. But in the background, cheerleaders can be heard chanting.
So, would you consider maybe dating a 10th grader?
I think we could go for full custody.
He sees Maggie walk into class and asks Scarlet to postpone the hearing, saying he's closer to the kids than she realizes. Mike waves at Maggie, and she looks completely confused.
Why is the new kid waving at me? I don't know, but if that boy were an apple, he'd be a delicious.
Later during gym class, Mike discovers that he still has all his old basketball skills. Thrilled with how in shape he feels, he tells the other kids to enjoy their youthful bodies, because in 10 years, they'll all have giant bellies.
Hey, wanna do it again? No way.
Never mind.
Coach Murphy, now 20 years older, spots him.
Oh, wow. You're still here?
What?
You're a legend.
Murphy says it's his last year teaching and encourages Mike to try out for the team as a point guard. In the bathroom, Mike calls Ned to share the good news. Ned responds by asking Mike to get in trouble so that Principal Masterson will be forced to meet with him again. After they hang up, Mike notices Alex, duct taped to a toilet. Shocked and furious, Mike asks who did it. Alex says it was the basketball team. Mike is surprised to learn that his son isn't even on the team and is treated like a total loser. Mike introduces himself as Mark Gold, his uncle Ned's son, and starts peeling off the duct tape to free Alex. They head to lunch, where Mike tells Alex that they should look out for each other.
Since we're practically family.
Alex seems interested in a girl named Nicole, the head cheerleader. Mike tries to give him advice on how to act around women.
You know, Alex, when I first met your mother, I was so nervous.
You met my mother?
What?
You just said the first time I met your mother, I was so nervous. Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. Is your mama hot?
Dude, what?
Just then, the basketball team, led by Stan, walks into the cafeteria, shoving smaller kids and stealing their lunches along the way. Mike asks if that's the guy who taped Alex to the toilet. Alex says yes, and even adds that Stan shoved him into the washing machine at their house yesterday.
What was that jerk doing at your house?
Alex explains that his sister Maggie is dating Stan.
Maggie has a boyfriend?
When Mike sees Maggie and Stan kiss, he's clearly upset.
I'm very disappointed in your sister.
And honestly, who could blame him? What kind of person dates a jerk who bullies your little brother? Stan approaches their table and starts pushing Alex around. Mike stands up for him, scolding Stan in a mature, authoritative tone. Stan tries to provoke him, but Mike responds with a cutting lecture on bullying, verbally humiliating Stan in front of everyone. Then, just to top it off, he shows off his dribbling skills, intimidating Stan, and earning cheers from the whole cafeteria. Back at Ned's place, Mike eats junk food, specifically a sandwich made with chocolate spread, mayonnaise, pickles, chips, and cheese spread. Could really go for something like that right now. As he eats, he laments the state of his kids' lives. His son is a punching bag, and his daughter is dating a bully. But now, it all starts to make sense. He realizes his spirit path is to help his kids. He drives over to his ex-wife's house and spots Alex in the yard, shooting hoops. To Mike's surprise, Alex is actually pretty good at basketball. He realizes that Alex should be on the basketball team. That's part of his mission. Just then, Scarlet and Naomi pull into the driveway. Alex introduces Mike as Mark, Ned's bastard. Scarlet is startled when she sees Mike. He looks so much like her husband. She grabs his face and pulls on his cheeks, remarking how uncanny the resemblance is. Naomi quickly drags her away, encouraging her to start dating again.
Okay, you wait here. I'm gonna go smell him.
No. Sweet. You're not allowed to smell teenagers.
Naomi even begins explaining how to move on in very specific detail. This annoys Mike, and he throws the basketball at her, then quickly apologizes, while still politely scolding her for trying to set up a married woman.
If this were Afghanistan, she'd be dragged through the streets by goats, with her hands cut off. I'm just saying.
Naomi.
I don't care.
The next day at school, Mike walks into class and finds Stan and Maggie kissing. He awkwardly interrupts them and takes a seat. The topic of the day is abstinence. Mike jumps in and says it's a great idea, suggesting that everyone should make a pact to abstain from sex. The class bursts into laughter and disbelief. The teacher, knowing abstinence likely won't happen, shifts the lesson to safe sex and passes around a box of condoms. Mike is horrified when Stan grabs a whole handful. Mike says he doesn't need any. He'll only have sex with the girl he loves.
You know why I don't need one? Because there's no one that I'm in love with. It's called making love, isn't it? Maybe I'm old-fashioned.
And sex should be reserved for married couples who want to have children.
You know, when you're ready to take that love and turn it into a baby. Because that's what love is. It's that first moment when you hold your baby girl and you didn't know that anything could be so small or so delicate, and you feel that tiny heartbeat, and you know that you couldn't love anything more in the whole world. And you hope that you can do right by that little girl and always be there to catch her when she falls, and that nothing ever hurts her, not a broken arm or a bad dream or a broken heart.
Some of the girls are visibly touched and begin returning the condoms, but then Stan grabs even more and forcibly kisses Maggie. Furious, Mike lunges at Stan. The two get into a fight, but Mike ends up getting beat down. The entire fight is captured on students' phones and spreads through the school like wildfire. Mike is called to the principal's office along with his dad, Ned, who shows up dressed to impress. Mike asks him what on earth he's wearing.
To the untrained eye, I look like a total idiot.
You do, in fact.
But it's actually a seduction technique known as peacocking.
Inside Jane's office, Ned tries his outlandish peacocking technique to flirt.
Are you peacocking? Really? You think that's gonna work?
I think it just might.
Later, Mike stops by Scarlet's house and finds her in the backyard, preparing for some landscaping. She walks him through her plans to renovate the yard, including adding a pond with water features.
It's gonna be amazing, Scar.
What did you just call me?
I just said it's gonna be amazing.
You called me Scar? My husband's the only one who ever calls me that.
Mike quickly changes the subject, offering to help.
Volunteer, I'm young, I'm strong.
Oh, right, got it. I realized that whole lady cougar hunting, mothers I'd like to, whatever.
I didn't even mean it.
In the end, he manages to convince her that he genuinely just wants to help. Over the next few days, Mike trains Alex for basketball. Mike also goes out of his way to keep Maggie away from Stan. Meanwhile, Mike helps Scarlet with the backyard. At the same time, Ned keeps pursuing Principal Jane, constantly bothering her with his bizarre attempts at flirting. He sends her inappropriate gifts and tries to impress her by picking her up after work in different flashy cars. But instead of impressing her, it mostly creeps her out. After days of hard work, both Mike and Alex make the basketball team. Scarlet congratulates her son. Mike, acting on instinct, joins in.
Oh, Mark, that's super inappropriate.
Nice.
Scarlet shows them the finished backyard. It looks beautiful. Mike compliments her and encourages her to start a business. She's flattered by his support. Then, she tells him she has a date that evening, which includes dancing. Later, Mike sees her dancing in front of a mirror and asks her to teach him. He boldly changes the music to a song from their wedding, which confuses Scarlet.
That's the song that my husband and I danced to at our wedding.
A man of good taste.
He crosses a line, getting too close and clearly caught in the moment. Scarlet tries to refocus him on the dance, but eventually, they begin dancing together smoothly. As they dance, Mike asks her about her husband, if there's any chance they'll get back together. She says she's pretty sure there isn't. He pushes further, asking why she's so certain.
Jump.
Oh!
As he spins her in his arms, they're suddenly interrupted by Alex.
Mom?
Yeah.
Who's clearly weirded out by what he's seeing.
Hey, Alex. I'm your mom. I'm Alex's mom, Mark.
Yeah.
He tells them her date has arrived. At the front door, Mike meets the guy and immediately starts roasting him.
Mark! Mark.
No, that's okay. I'm not saying that. It's totally normal for sons to feel weird when their moms date.
It's not my son.
Then that's weird.
He's clearly upset and tries to talk Scarlet out of going. Before leaving, she hands him the divorce papers and asks him to give them to Mike, assuming both he and Mark live at Ned's house. Right after Scarlet leaves, Stan shows up to pick up Maggie for a party, and Mike brings Alex along to the party to keep an eye on her. The party is at a bowling alley. Alex is nervous, but Mike reassures him that now he's part of the basketball team, he has every right to be there, and no one is going to mess with him anymore. They spot Nicole, and Alex immediately tries to run away, but Mike stops him. He tells Alex that he's not a loser and practically forces him to go up to her. Alex awkwardly approaches Nicole and nervously compliments her. In the process, he gets too close to a candle, and his pant leg catches fire. He frantically runs off to the restroom to put it out. While searching for Maggie, Mike gets cornered by 3 of her friends who try to seduce him.
Maggie's not here, but I am. And I'm really glad you came.
Okay.
I was kicked off the cheerleading squad for being too flexible.
Okay, sit down. If you girls don't respect yourselves, then how do you expect anyone else to respect you?
Don't respect me.
No, don't respect me. You don't even have to remember my name.
This is some other dad's problem.
Mike finds Maggie and sits next to her. He asks what she sees in Stan. She casually replies that after high school, she and Stan plan to move in together. He'll work at Home Depot while she attends community college to be closer to him. Mike is appalled. Forgetting that he's supposed to be just a classmate, not her father, he angrily forbids her from seeing Stan.
There's no way in hell that's happening.
Excuse me?
You think I'm gonna let you mortgage your future? You're gonna let you throw away all your hard work for some guy, some psychopathic guy who doesn't care about you? I forbid you.
Okay, who the hell do you think you are, my father?
The next day, there's a basketball game. Scarlet is in the audience with her date. Hayden High is trailing by a few points. During the game, Mike sees Stan making out with Maggie and gets visibly upset. Fueled by emotion, he scores a few quick points to close the gap. With only seconds left, Mike gets the ball. Coach Murphy orders him to pass it to Stan, and the rest of the team expects him to follow through. But instead, Mike passes the ball to Alex, who sinks a three-pointer, clutching victory for the team. Alex becomes the star of the game. Everyone cheers and celebrates, while Stan is left fuming. Nicole congratulates Alex and leans in to embrace him. He nearly ruins the moment with his nervousness, not wanting to get her sweaty. After the game, Ned corners Principal Jane and asks her out to dinner. She's annoyed by his previous antics, and he tries to win her over by promising to buy every student a laptop. She reluctantly agrees, but only under strict conditions. No flashy gestures, no more inappropriate gifts, and he has to promise to behave himself. With Ned now busy with the principal, Mike seizes the moment and announces a party at his place to help Alex impress Nicole. Later, Mike finds Maggie crying and goes to comfort her. Tearfully, she tells him that Stan dumped her because she refused to have sex with him. Mike is immensely relieved and consoles her, but Maggie misinterprets his fatherly support and tries to kiss him. He quickly dodges and sidesteps the moment, inviting her to the party instead. Word spreads fast, and soon the entire school knows about the party. Meanwhile, at a fancy restaurant, Ned tries to act sophisticated for Jane, but ends up blowing it. He drops the act and speaks from the heart, confessing that he's just a dork trying to impress her.
I'm not even the kind of guy who comes to places like this. I'm a dork. I'm the kind of guy who spends 10 grand on Gandalf the Grey's quarterstaff from the Two Towers.
Yes, that does make you a dork. Especially since Gandalf the Grey was only in Fellowship. He returns in Two Towers as Gandalf the White.
To his surprise, she turns out to be just as much of a nerd as he is. They start speaking Elvish to each other, and Ned is completely blown away. Back at the restaurant, Ned and Jane are still deep in Elvish conversation. It all leads to her flirtatiously asking, "Your lair or mine?"
We'll take the check.
That evening, all the students swarm to Ned's house for the party like flies on crap. Mike sees Alex finally hitting it off with Nicole. Stan shows up drunk at the party and tries to apologize to Maggie. She brushes him off, telling him she's with someone else. Mike steps in and warns Stan to leave before he calls the police. Stan insults Maggie, pushing Mike to take a swing at him. He misses, and Stan knocks him out with a punch. When Mike regains consciousness, he finds his head on Maggie's lap as she caresses him. Horrified, he pulls away, but she playfully jumps on him, thinking it's a game. To stop her, he tells her he has another girlfriend. She accepts it and walks away.
You tell your girlfriend. She better keep a close eye on you.
Sweet baby Jesus.
At the party, things are getting out of hand. Kids are messing with Ned's prized geek collectibles. Scarlet shows up looking for Alex. Mike tells her that Alex has a girlfriend now and offers to take her to them. When Ned finally arrives home, he's furious at the chaos. He yells at everyone to leave, but the kids ignore him. Then Jane steps in, gives a firm command as the the principal, and the students immediately scatter. Outside, Scarlet and Mike watch as Alex kisses Nicole. She's overjoyed and thanks Mike for being such a good male role model. As they talk, caught in the moment, Mike suddenly kisses her. Maggie and her friends see everything in shock. Scarlet slaps him and storms off. Mike chases after her, shouting that he's not Mark. He's actually her husband, the father of her children. That pushes her over the edge, and she yells at him before walking away. Then Maggie approaches, calls him a pervert, and slaps him. Her friends follow her lead, who all slap him too. Jane turns to Ned and says, "This is why I don't date students' parents," before walking off. Mike apologizes to Ned.
Okay, now I'm sorry.
I guess I deserve that.
Second one was out of line. Second one was uncalled for. I'm sorry.
You okay? I'm really sorry.
3 makes it even. Now we're even. How are you? You okay?
Yeah.
The next morning, Ned is cleaning up the aftermath of the party, while Mike sulks over everything he's messed up. Ned reminds him he has a divorce hearing in 20 minutes. Using a police siren, Ned speeds Mike to the courthouse in his Ferrari convertible. Inside the courtroom, Ned bursts in pretending to be Mike's lawyer. As always, he's got forged documents to back it up.
And it's a little bit smeared because I sat on it in the car, not because I printed it out recently.
All right, let's pretend that's real.
But he acts like such a weirdo that the judge orders the bailiffs to remove both Ned and Mike from the courtroom. As he's being dragged out, Mike shouts that he has a letter from Mike O'Donnell. Scarlet asks the judge if she can hear it. Mike reads the letter, barely holding back tears. He recalls the first time he met Scarlet and confesses how deeply he loves her. He apologizes for blaming her for his own failures. Though he doesn't want to lose her, he says he's ready to let her go if it means she can move on and be happy. When he finishes, Mike leaves the paper behind and walks out. Moved by his words, Scarlet asks the judge to postpone the hearing. Out of curiosity, she picks up the paper he left behind and sees that it's just the hearing notice with the date and address. At Ned's house, Mike shoots hoops and says that his family will be better off without him. He's ready to move on and go to college. At Scarlet's house, she flips through their high school yearbook and finds Mike's 1989 picture. Then, outside in the hammock that Mike finally fixed, she sees his wedding ring and a handwritten note. In the letter, he apologizes for not finishing what he started. At the basketball court, just like in the beginning of the movie, Coach Murphy tells Mike there's a scout coming and that he's a shoo-in. A team photo is taken. As the game is about to begin, Scarlet and Maggie enter. Maggie tells her mom she's planning to go to Georgetown, just like Mike once hoped. Ned approaches Jane and says he can't lose her and wants to start over.
I have told you before that I am the principal, and I cannot be seen with my students' parents.
But Jane, how can you be seen with me when I'm wearing a cloak of invisibility?
After a few Tolkien-style lines, the connection between them sparks again. The game starts. Mike looks up and sees Scarlet in the stands. He makes the same special shooting pose he once made for her. Understanding what's happening, Scarlet stands and starts to walk away. Just like the beginning of the film, he sees her near the rafters, about to leave. The coach, the crowd, the scout, it's all unfolding the same way. This time, Mike makes the same choice. He gives the ball to Alex and runs after Scarlet. As he leaves the court, the janitor watches with a smile. Alex is subbed into the game. Mike runs through the hallway, and as he does, his vision blurs. He's passing through the portal. Just before he reaches the door, Scarlet appears behind him and asks if it's really him. It is. He's back to his true self, her husband. He tells her he loves her and wants to be with her. He promises to make it up to her. Scarlet forgives him, and they kiss. Thanks to Alex, Hayden High wins the game. A few days later, Mike stops by Ned's bedroom to return his house key and thank him. But to his surprise, he finds Principal Jane under the covers. Mike calls her boss, because now that Coach Murphy has retired after 20 years, Mike is the new basketball coach. Ned gifts him a brand new whistle. And with that, the movie ends. I made this video in memory of Matthew Perry and Michelle Trachtenberg. And yes, I know those cars weren't Ferraris. I'm just fishing for a few comments like, wow, this AI slop can't even tell cars apart, to help boost engagement. Let's be clear, every single word in this video was written by me, a real person, who spent 4 tree days writing this recap. The only AI used was the voiceover, because I've got a heavy accent in English, and I didn't want to torture you with it. Hope you understand. Thanks so much for watching, and tap on these pictures to check out other recaps I've got ready for you.